Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to you and welcome to Bena Midday News, coming to you live from Atomic Junction, Benab House, Medina. Coming up this afternoon, stop threatening us for demanding better conditions, says striking Melpool members. 6 Ghanaians dead as intense heat wave kills over thousands in Saudi Arabia. 86,000 unclaimed passports pose financial strain on government, says Osafo Mafo. I'm Sherifatu Ayuba. Details of the stories comes up shortly. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at Beina TV. 6 Ghanaian nationals have been reported dead in Makkah due to a heat wave that swept through Saudi Arabia. This tragic development adds to the 2 deaths reported on June 13th, rising the death toll to 8 so far.
Involving some Georgian nationals. It was later revealed that Ghanaians were also among the victims of the heat wave. According to Sky News, more than 1,000 people have now died during the Hajj pilgrimage in the city of Mecca.
The 2024 flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has emphasized that the role of the presidency is a serious responsibility that should be entrusted to capable individuals. He highlighted the urgent challenges facing Ghanaians and stressed that the 2024 election cannot be trivialized with jokes and comedy.
The former president also questioned Vice President Bawumia's tendency to claim credit for positive outcomes of the NPP government while avoiding responsibility for instances of poor governance. Mr. Mahama insisted that outdated slogans and deceptive practices have no place in Ghana's current political landscape. He asserted that such conduct would not be tolerated by the Ghanaian electorate.
The leadership of Ghana and the office of president are weighty and must be approached with the utmost seriousness. Ghanaians are in dire straits, and this is not the time for comedy. This is not the time Ghanaians are in dire straits, and this is not the time for comedy. This is not the time for concert party about passing a mythical steer to somebody. There is no space for stale falsehoods and gaslighting. Those trivializing the suffering and pain of Ghanaians and reducing important matters of governance to empty slogans and desperate promises cannot come near the leadership of this country.
He said, this is not the time for jokes and entrusting leadership to someone who is responsible for the country's current turmoil.
Those whose glaring failures at economic management have sucked us into this vortex of despair, despite their lofty talk in opposition, and who now seek to flee from responsibility, cannot be rewarded with the presidency of a nation in such deep crisis. And it is unimaginable to think that those who claim, that some claim, that it's better to have an economy that has defaulted on debt, causing over 1 million bondholders, including elderly pensioners, to suffer financial haircuts, still would try to convince Ghanaians that they are in a much better position than one in which debt servicing was done timeously, without defaults, and when nobody suffered any financial loss. The presidency cannot be handed over to those who present themselves as the future, when they have been the epicenter of our disastrous present.
Senior Presidential Advisor on Public Sector Reforms revealed at a press briefing in Accra on Wednesday, June 19th, that 86,000 passports remain uncollected at passport application centers across the country. Yao Osafomafu gave a breakdown highlighting the distribution of these unclaimed passports, with the Greater Accra region accounting for 19,500 and the Cape Coast for 8,696, Takrade for 8,000 as of June 2024.
Expressing deep concern over the significant number of abandoned passports, Osafomafu emphasized the financial strain this negligence imposes on the government. He explained that while the government subsidizes passport production costs to around $4 per passport, the actual production cost is approximately $100 each. He underscored the financial implications, describing the situation as a locking up of government capital due to uncollected subsidized passports. In response to this predicament, Osafomafu called for an investigation into why Ghanaians failed to collect their passports after issuance. He urged authorities and researchers to delve into the root causes to address the underlying issues effectively. Paul Carl Kujo, the Director of Passport Office, also cautioned the public against using middlemen to secure passports. He encouraged applicants facing challenges to directly approach the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Client Service Unit or passport application centers for assistance. The backlog of uncollected passports highlights inefficiencies and challenges within the passport acquisition process, despite efforts to improve public service delivery.
Away from that, the members of the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union have raised serious concerns regarding the treatment of their colleagues nationwide amidst their ongoing strike. According to Dr. Sefas Akoto, the General Secretary of the Union, many members have faced significant intimidation from hospital administrators during the strike period. Dr. Akoto said some members of the union have been receiving threats for simply rising up to the occasion and demanding better conditions of service. He explained that the union strike is a protest against the substandard working conditions that medical laboratory professionals are forced to endure. In a passionate appeal, Dr. Akoto called for an immediate cessation of these intimidating practices. He emphasized the importance of hospital directors, human resource personnel, and administrators adopting a supportive rather than adversarial stance. Ghana has reached an agreement in principle with its bondholders for the restructuring of $13 billion worth international debt. Three sources told Reuters on Thursday, on the heels of a deal finalized with official creditors earlier this month. Sources say the deal will see bondholders take a haircut on principal of up to 37% and maturity of the bonds lengthened.
The 30 billion in external debt in 2022 under the strain of the COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and higher global interest rates and surging debt. Like Zambia, Ghana also signed up for debt treatment under the G20 Common Framework, a process designed to facilitate quick debt overhauls and to bring the newest large bilateral lender, China, into the process. Zambia's bondholders signed off on its restructuring earlier this month after the South African copper producer became the first African country to default during the pandemic. Ghana's finance ministry and the Paris Club, an alliance of creditor nations, could not immediately be reached for comment due to the late ice. Ghana started formal talks with two groups of bondholders in mid-March, a group of Western asset managers and hedge funds, and another one including regional African banks. The negotiations, however, stalled in April after the proposed deal failed to meet the International Monetary Fund's debt sustainability analysis requirements, forcing both sides to regroup to find a suitable solution.
And some international stories. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, has called on the world to not forget the conflict in Sudan, which has been engulfed by violence since April last year. Grandi pushed for peace as he visited a transit center in Renk, set by the UNHCR in South Sudan's Upper Nile state, near the Jada border with Sudan.
The center was originally built to accommodate 4,000 people, but now has more than 13,000 people living in and around it. The UNHCR chief met the family of Badike Suleiman, who arrived in Renk in December 2023 to escape fighting in El Fasher in Sudan's Darfur region. The Sudanese family of 13 live in a communal shelter with two other families. Earlier in June, the UN reported the number of internally displaced people in Sudan has reached more than 10 million. Sudan's latest conflict began last year when soaring tensions between the leaders of the military and the paramilitary rapid support forces exploded into open fighting in the capital Khartoum and elsewhere in the country. The war has wrecked Sudan, killing more than 14,000 people and wounding thousands of others while pushing its population to the brink of famine.
The Executive Committee of the Confederation of African Football will meet on Friday, June 21, 2024, to discuss several issues including dates of upcoming continental champions. The virtual meeting will be chaired by the President, Patrice Motsepe, and will start at 14 GMT as the leaders of African football deliberate on key matters.
Last month, reports of the African Cup of Nations in Morocco 2025 being pushed forward raised questions. CAF quickly responded to the rumors, denying any such report, but the date for the competition is yet to be confirmed. Meanwhile, next month the draw for the qualifiers will be held as teams across Africa begin the journey to be in Morocco in 2025. The last two tournaments have been pushed forward a year. COVID-19 affected the 2021 edition, while the recent AFCON was held in 2024 instead of 2023.
And that is how we bring the bulletin to an end. You've been watching Baina Midday News on Baina TV with me, Sherifatu Ayuba. Log on to our website www.bainamultimedia.com for more news. Enjoy the rest of our programs.